family court, your worst witness might be you online. Welcome to the Consultation. My name is Josh Floyd.
My name is Christina Jimenez.
We are both board-certified family law attorneys here at Jimenez Floyd Family Law Firm, and today we're going to discuss social media and how it can make or break your case.
So, unfortunately, almost every single time I'm in
Sometimes
court,
fortunately.
I guess sometimes fortunately, but pretty much every single time I am in court, and Floyd and I are probably in court daily, maybe 3 or 4 times a day or a week, excuse me. Social media is either being used by us or against us, right? And so it is definitely something that you have to be very cautious of, like what you've posted prior to your divorce, what you're posting, or, child custody dispute, what you're posting during, because there are ways for us to get access to that information. And once we get access to it, it can potentially be devastating. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about, how it's used and how it can have an impact on your case. So, Floyd, can social media be used as evidence?
Absolutely, right? And even the things that you would anticipate, liking a comment, right? The fact you like a comment is in fact a statement, right? And it's an admission that can be used against you. So if you're on there, liking or loving the photographs of maybe somebody that you had an affair with, right? Or
like you have a little fire emoji, like
what's the fire emoji?
The fire, like that's hot, like she looks hot. No, I think
don't
that's
know.
what that means. That's how I
don't know.
But we see it a lot with like drugs, right? Like somebody's like smoking, we like, oh, I love nothing better than smoking a J in the morning, right? Somebody's gonna take that little clip and post it, and then people are like, yeah, like laughing or like smiling or thumbs upping. That's an admission.
Or even like groups that you're a part of, right? If you're a part of like I don't know what the weed smoking groups are, but I assume there's Facebook groups that talk about weed smoking, right? And Reddit groups and things like that. So the fact that you're a member of those and liking and loving various comments that are made in those groups, that's all evidence that can be used against you to, to show that that's the lifestyle that you live.
So the other times that we see it being used as evidence is the timestamps that will sometimes show up on these posts, right? And so, you may say, hey, I was at work when this incident occurred. And then we go to Facebook and it shows that there was a post that was made with you on the beach in Mexico when this occurred, or at the time that you're stating that you were supposed to be at work. And so you have to be mindful. Now, I think that does get a little bit tricky, right? Because sometimes people will say, well, yeah, I posted it while I was at work and that was a previous trip. And so there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but
until you left the date on the photograph.
Until something like that happens, then you potentially have issues, right? So timestamps are definitely going to be something that can be taken into consideration. It's used to prove adultery, cohabitation, fraud, all of those things, right? It's also used to show like patterns of behavior, right? So dad is constantly out at the bars, drinking, right? A lot of times people will tag their location. And so they're always at all these different bars or nightclubs, even during the times that they're supposed to have, conservatorship or possession of their children. So, we see that happening a lot. What else, Floyd?
So I think later in this podcast, we're going to get to all the ways that it can impact it. But I think the important part here is to realize that it's not just what you post, right? It's also what you comment, DMs, the little emojis that we talked about. All of that stuff can be used against you.
Also, when friends and family tag you and stuff, yes. I won a really big case because mom was really diligent about not posting stuff on her social media, but unfortunately, I think it was like her aunt or somebody tagged her in a photo of a place she wasn't supposed to be, and we ended up getting custody and supervised access for mom. So just be mindful, because all of that stuff is going to potentially be admissible in court and will be used against you. So,
and even if you think you're safe because you've blocked certain individuals, right? There's ways around that. There's other people that you have to block that you don't know are cooperating. And then there's ways that we can just obtain copies of your entire social media content. Right.
So let's talk about how it can impact you on property and financial issues. So I had this happen in a case once before where dad was claiming, hey, I'm so broke. I don't have the ability to pay child support. I've lost my job and all of these things. And so dad again was very diligent about not posting things on his social media, but his new little side piece that he had wasn't so diligent. And
She
so
needs a girlfriend.
so what she would do is she would go on and she would post her new Louis Vuitton, like, look what, my man just bought me. And oh, having margaritas at, this fancy restaurant, all sorts of different things, her new ring, her nails getting done, all sorts of things that he was gifting her, right? And so, and of course, on that particular case, the girlfriend did say that, well, that Louis Vuitton's fake, it's not real or whatever. But judge was like, I don't care. Like, he's spending all this money on you. He clearly has money to pay child support. And so we were able to use that to the benefit of our client.
Or when they are trying to say they're unemployed, but they're constantly advertising their business online. Not long ago, I had a car salesman that was doing that, right? They post, if they work at a dealership, they'll post online, we got this new car, blah, 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 come check it out, etc. Meanwhile, he was telling us he was unemployed, but his Facebook was full of him trying to sell these cars online. And so that was beneficial to contradict his testimony in trial.
So one of the other things that we have here on our outline is that can be used to undermine unemployment or underemployment claims. And so we had a case where it was a child support issue. Dad was claiming that the business that he was worked for was actually owned and operated by his new wife. And all the paperwork, everything looked legit. She was the sole owner, taxes, like everything looked legit. And way back in like 2019, like 6 or 7 years ago, you see a picture of him on Facebook saying proud owner of such and such company. And so with that, we were able to establish like, no, this is really his business and it's just under the wife's name so that he didn't have to pay child support. And in that particular case, the court did find that he was intentionally underemployed, maxed him out on support because the business was very profitable. And so obviously our client was super happy about that. So, hidden income or undisclosed assets.
I think we kind of touched on that, right?
Okay.
So like you talked about hiding businesses in other people's names, or actually I had a case where this guy had like shit ton of, can I say that? Crap ton of cash. I guess I did. So whatever.
You can't, but okay.
Okay, I did. So crap ton of cash, like $100 bills, right? And he was talking about he didn't have a job. And he testified that those were actually fake hundreds, which also didn't go well for him because that's a crime. So the court wasn't pleased with either one of his testimonies at that point.
Oh, that's so funny. So the other way that it can impact you is with regard to conservatorship and custody. I think that that's probably like one of the biggest places where we see it. So, one of the cases, the one that I said where the mom had been tagged by a family member, there was actually an injunction that prohibited her from being in the presence of another family member because they had a really bad criminal history. And the kiddo wasn't supposed to be around that particular individual. They go to a birthday party, lots of family members there, and in the very back you can see uncle, and in the very front you see, baby boy. And so that again, mom ended up losing custody, getting supervised access because she violated a court order. And but for that social media post, we probably would have never been able to prove that.
Yeah, and then drug use, and people think it's cool to post of them, smoking doobies. They still call it that? I don't know if they still call it that.
But you're old.
Yeah. So smoking doobies or whatever it is you guys do nowadays online, or drinking, posting at bars when you have your child, you have beer in your hand, there's an injunction, right? So it could be used evidence like that, drinking, drug use, which we talked about, liking and posting various groups and stuff like that.
So exposure of children to inappropriate environments. So obviously the uncle situation, but I've had it happen where, kiddos are at a party and a bunch of people are drinking and sometimes even smoking, and some idiot at the party, doobies, they're smoking doobies. and some idiot at the party is, filming Snapchat, and somehow it goes out. I don't even know how Snapchat works, but it goes out to people, and somebody manages to record that. And now we have, a really good photographic or video evidence to show that, mom or dad is exposing this kid to a dangerous environment. Not going to go over well.
Yeah, for whatever reason, people love to record and post fights on social media that break out at parties, right? And so when you do that and your child is there, if there's a fight that breaks out, it's getting posted on social media somewhere, and your child's there, and that's obviously not a good environment for the child.
So we talked about this a little bit, but like the negative comments about the other parent, right? And so a lot of times what I will see is it's not so much that and I do unfortunately see that sometimes where they go on a rant on social media, my baby daddy did this, or my baby mama does this. But most of the time it's like a post where somebody is just like being really nasty about a father or a mother or an ex-wife or an ex-husband. And it's I agree, or, thumbs up, like liking, laughing, like all of those things. And in, a couple of my cases, kiddos are teenagers and they also have access to social media, right? And so we kind of use that to say, like, this is something that your teenage son could have seen where you were making fun of dad, or you were basically calling dad a deadbeat. And obviously judges don't take too kindly to that.
I had a case, I won't say where it was, but I had a case, and the mom was terrible about posting about dad. Like we had an entire hearing basically to enjoin this type of behavior, and she had like a picture of them before they got separated. Is her, him, and the kids. She had like marked him out and then put her new boyfriend's face on top of dad, and was like, "I removed that A word, blah blah blah." Um, and then there were posts like evidence from their prior divorce. She would post online and talk about things that he did to her that were basically just false allegations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then talking crap about his new girlfriend online. And their kids were like 14, 15,
mm-hmm.
right? And so they're on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a fun hearing for us. But we started the modification actually just to stop that kind of behavior.
Right. Well, and so one of the other things we have listed here is like the way that it'll affect your conservatorship is if it proves rapid introduction of new partners, right? So I actually had a case and we were fighting for just visitation of a baby girl. I think she was like less than a couple of years old. And in that particular case, the dad basically testifies, I come home, everything's out of the house and I can't find my daughter, and I don't know where my I think girlfriend at the time was. And immediately from like she leaves at like 2:00, and at 2:30 she posts a picture of her new boyfriend at his house, where now the kiddo and her have, I guess, moved into, and new boyfriend's like holding the baby and like smiling. And yeah, we got exactly the visitation that we wanted in that particular case, because I mean, who does that, right? Like, don't do that.
Right.
so, the other way that it can affect you is credibility and impeachment purposes. One of the biggest ways to get caught in a lie, and I've done it a million times now. Is it difficult to do, and do we have to be super organized, and do you have to take the bait when you're getting cross-examined? Yes, you do. But if we're able to prove that you're lying about whatever it is that you posted on social media, it really does affect your credibility for the entire case, right? And so if you're going to be dumb enough to post it on social media, then just be smart enough to own it whenever you get on that witness stand. Because if the court thinks that you're lying about something, then it's going to impact your entire case.
You were talking about being super organized to make this effective, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the I don't want to say tricks, but I guess tricks.
That's good tricks. I
Yeah.
like it.
On cross-examination is to set up the bait so that they have to take the bait, knowing they will take the bait.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the way we set up our strategy for the hearing when we know we're going to use evidence like this, is we set up our bait questions knowing they're going to bite, that we have this to intentionally impeach them and their credibility. And so if you've posted something like this and you're represented, let your attorneys know so that they can tell you how to deal with it on the stand so that you don't take the bait. Because what we do for a living, So you're not going to get away with it.
Right. And then the other thing is that I guess love hate when people do is when they're on the witness stand and they get up there and they play, victim and just like, oh, woe is me. And then you're able to pull their social media and they're just aggressive and mean and hostile and antagonistic. And so the judge is kind of looking at them like, well, who's this person in front of me when you're acting all crazy on social media, right? Making threats, etc. So that's the other way that it can affect your credibility. Anything else on that? I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just if you do it, don't lie about it.
Right. So, discovery and preservation issues. And we probably should have led with this at the very beginning of this talk. First thing is, do not destroy it, right? Like if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, I have all this horrible stuff that I posted. You cannot destroy it, cannot delete it. There's a little thing called spoliation that will, potentially come back and bite you in the rear end. And so
rear end, that's a good word.
Yeah. And so the only thing that you can do is deactivate your account. Okay. So discovery and preservation issues. So we probably should have led with this. What I don't want you guys to do is watch this and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and delete all my social media. This is, I'm in litigation and this is all going to be used against me. Do not do that. Okay. There's, some rules that what we call spoliation, which basically means if it's deleted, then court's going to presume that it was probably really bad for you. That's why you deleted it. And, they can still use or attempt to use this evidence against you. Okay. Big thing is that the other side can get a hold of it, right? So in discovery, we request social media posts, and literally there's ways to copy your entire digital file from Facebook and Instagram and all these things, and you have to turn it over to the other side. And so typically what we advise clients to do is to deactivate your account so that it's still preserved if needed, right? But to stop posting. We tell our clients, stop posting.
They don't listen.
They don't listen. But I wish that they did, because if they did, it would make our life so much easier. But I guess if you're posting about like, what you're making for dinner.
That's fine. They never do. It always goes south.
Right.
Always goes south.
And so, but for the most part, our, best recommendation is to deactivate the account, keep it, safe, don't destroy it. And just know that they're going to be able to ask for it in discovery and you'll have to turn it over.
Yeah. So like I said, don't delete it, but let your attorney know about it. If you've made these posts that we're talking about, let them know, because we can figure out how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Right. And strategically understand how we're going to address these situations or address these issues to put you in the best position possible to win. Right. We can't undo what you've done. Right. But we can cure it moving forward. Mm-hmm. Right. So make sure that you don't just delete it and be like, oh, they're never going to find out about it. They will. The best route is deactivate, let us know about it, and let us figure out how to deal with it.
Right. So harassment and protective orders. So when you post threats on social media, that can be used against you for the other side to get a protective order, right? It can constitute harassment if you consistently, post either, threats of bodily injury or just inappropriate comments, etc.
Yeah. So even if you're not sending it directly to that person or tagging that person, shit like, I could chop off my baby mama's head. I don't know if I've had that one, but that would qualify as a threat.
That would definitely qualify as a threat.
If we can identify who the baby mama is, right?
Right.
Even if they're not tagged or anything like that, we could use that to show a threat.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that it not only goes to like the threat of family violence or bodily injury, but I think it also goes to state of mind and mental health, right? Like if you're, I guess, crazy enough to post something like that on social media, then are you really going to be safe enough to have possession of your children, right? We can attempt to make that link to say, Judge, we have some legitimate concerns. Like this is what he's posting online to the world on social media. Do you really want to let this kiddo go with him unsupervised? Yeah, I don't know. Some judges will say no, not going to do it.
Yeah, if they're going to do that in public, what the hell are they doing in private?
Right.
That's the concern.
Right. And so we've used all of those social media posts in protective order hearings before and temporary and final hearings before. The other thing is it can be used to establish that you're violating standing orders and or temporary restraining orders, right? So I actually have a case right now where the standing order says not to disparage, right? It says no threats, no, what is the other, I'm trying to think of the language where it's that would be reasonably likely to
Harass,
embarrass,
alarm, annoy.
that one.
Yeah.
And embarrass them, torment them, things like that. And so husband's just going online all like daily, 4 or 5 times a day, just posting. And so finally here's a motion for enforcement because you can't keep your freaking mouth shut. And now you're potentially going to go to jail because you think that it's smart to go on and disparage your ex-wife or your soon to be ex-wife for no apparent reason. So don't do that, right? I tell people, like, say it to your best friend, put it, in your notes on, like, you got to get it out, go to the gym, right? Don't put it on social media.
Cohabitation
and relationship evidence.
Yeah, these are fun. When they are denying a romantic relationship with certain individuals, and then they're posting photos of them at New York, in New York or the beach somewhere. That's clear evidence of a relationship that you deny on the stand, or posting pictures of them and the kids watching the Super Bowl on the couch.
Right.
And
sometimes it's not, I've had cases where it's not that, clear, where I don't have, boyfriend and girlfriend like snuggled up on a couch, but I have girlfriend in Mexico in Cancun on July 14th. And then I have husband in Mexico and Cancun on July 14th. And so maybe I can't clearly establish like, okay, they were there together, judge, but these judges are not idiots, right? Like they're going to put it together like, yeah, that's too much of a coincidence for my liking. And so clearly you're in this relationship with this person, right?
And part of our job is putting puzzles together, right? And so we have this piece of her social media and this piece of his social media. Then we have a credit card transaction from him where he spent $200 on a nice dinner at a good restaurant, right? And then maybe he would jewelry purchase, right? Things like that. We put all these pieces together and it paints a picture, right? So social media can be used as one of those pieces of the puzzle that you don't even know is going to help paint a picture that we can paint.
Right. So litigation strategy considerations. So clearly, after everything we've just said, it can uncover very useful evidence. And now I will tell you that it is time consuming, right? But sometimes we spend hours and hours, like the example that I gave earlier about the husband actually owning the business. I think that we had probably gone through maybe 2 or 3 hours of just going through social media posts and digging until finally we found that little nugget, right? Same thing with the uncle being at the birthday party. I mean, that was a needle in the haystack or a haystack? It's just one?
It's one haystack. Yeah.
But there's like several haystacks. But
there's one needle. It's in a haystack.
Said it, you made a face like you knew I was going to screw it up.
For sure.
Well, whatever it is, it was a needle and we found it wherever it was. And so, but it is very, very time consuming. But if you can find something, sometimes that will make or break your entire case, right? We screenshot content. Like I'm just, most attorneys, good attorneys, they're going to go through, screen record your content. They're going to take, screenshots of it. We're preserving it because we know we might need it, right? So be mindful of it.
I think we talked about just any social media. Venmo is a good one because when you send money, it's public. I don't know why they do that. That is crazy.
Yeah.
But if you go to someone's Venmo account, you can see everyone they send money to.
Yeah. So it's not, it's LinkedIn, it's TikTok. What's the one that I said? Snapchat. Everybody thinks like Snapchat is so secure. We've received messages from, it's like they post it and a buddy sees it, boom, screenshot. And now we have like crazy evidence from Snapchat. So be mindful of that. Risk management, right? We've already said it. stop posting during litigation. Best advice and this isn't legal advice, but best recommendation for you guys, just stop posting, right? Don't discuss details online. I don't even know why I have to say this in my out loud voice, but I do.
Because you say it in your quiet voice, nobody will hear you.
But I mean, people should just know.
They should.
Like, you guys should just know.
If people did what they were supposed to, we wouldn't have a job.
This is facts. But I've had it happen where people go online and literally badmouth the judge, like rant about the judge. And you talk about either when it's happened to me, because it's happened to me, or when I get to do it to another attorney. I mean, I'm like trying to crawl under the table if it's happening to me, because the judge is looking at my client like, oh, really? So you think I'm X, Y, and Z. This is going to be interesting. Don't do it. Just don't talk about the case at all, period.
Well, even if it's another attorney, right? Because you got to understand that we're in front of these judges all the time. A lot of times we're friends with the judges, right? I mean, we know them. We work together all the time. And so when you're bad-mouthing another attorney that practices in that court, that judge and that attorney may be pretty good friends, right? And they take that personally. Like, no, why are you talking about an officer of my court like this, right? And so even if it's the other attorney, like, tell your friend, write it down, and go to the gym, right?
Right.
But don't post it online.
Please don't. Please don't. And, again, most of the time, there's going to be a standing order, a restraining order, or an injunction that says that you're not to post anything regarding the other party or litigation on social media. And so when you go online and you do that stuff, that's another potential contempt action that's coming, going to be filed against you. And it gives the other side leverage. It's, you could end up in jail. You can pay attorney's fees. So just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah. So I guess the overall risk, right? So it obviously amplifies minor mistakes, right? We can make big deals out of small issues. That's what we do, right? So we'll blow things up that you never anticipated would be an issue. We'll make an issue of them. And it may be an issue based on other conduct that we see throughout the case and other evidence that we have to paint the picture that we're trying to paint.
Yeah, because one of the things we talked about is it establishing patterns of conduct, right? So sometimes we'll have a scenario where we're saying, hey, dad has an issue with alcohol. He's always had an issue with alcohol. We're concerned. We think we need a sober link. We think he needs to be supervised, etc. But we don't have really any significant evidence to prove it, right? He's never been arrested. No DWIs, no PIs. We don't have any videos. We don't have any, any recordings or anything like that. But then you go to his Facebook post and you see, oh, he's always out drinking, or, oh, here's, his brother John posted a video of him wasted and passed out on the concrete floor in front of the house, that sort of things. And so we can use that to establish a pattern of conduct that will then be used against you in litigation.
And credibility is such a big thing in family law, because a lot of times you may not have the evidence, right? All you have is your testimony, because nobody's recording and crap stuff that goes on at home, right? And so when you are able to impeach somebody, prove that they're lying about something they did on social media or otherwise, it affects their credibility. Right? And then the other person is more likely to win because they come off as more credible. If you're just quiet and not posting crap on social media, there's nothing they can use against you, right? You're not creating evidence, right? Every time you post, you're creating evidence for one side or the other, right? So it's better just to be quiet.
Right. So, as we say in every single episode of the consultation, this is not to be construed as legal advice. Okay. So if you are thinking of filing a case, you're in the middle of a case, you need to listen to your attorney, talk to your attorney about these particular issues, because that attorney is going to know your judge, your jurisdiction. They're going to know how to navigate the scenario for you. Okay. If, however, you need representation and you happen to be in Louisville, Flower Mound, North Richland Hills, Midland, Odessa, or Dallas, Texas, we do have offices in all of those locations. We are here and happy to help and to guide you through your potential social media debacle. So make sure that you like us on all social media posts, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc.